Being an athlete is no joke. As an athlete, you have to be fast, strong, and possess the ability to both push and pull with the best of them. But what muscles should athletes focus on so they are getting the most out of their workouts? We're gonna discuss the most important muscles that you need to train as an athlete, and we're gonna start right now. In almost every single sport, not including sprinting, you're gonna be pushing or pulling an opponent or an implement. Pushing, particularly pushing effectively, involves rapid extension of the elbow and pressing even from the pecs and the shoulders. So when it comes to training the muscles that are responsible for that rapid extension, specifically we're looking at the triceps, the pecs, and the delts, one of the absolute best movement, if not the best movement to train that, is going to be the bench press. And I can hear everybody going, oh, the bench press is so stupid. You're laying on your back. When does that happen in an actual sport? And this is because you don't understand dynamic correspondence. The bench press is a great way to force your upper body to recruit a massive amount of muscle at high speeds. And if you focus on that high speed and the intent to be as aggressive as possible during the concentric, that's gonna help you be more explosive in the upper body. And if you're interested in making the bench even faster, you can use a pad like this. We're gonna have that rapid stretch shortening cycle. So I'm gonna go here, boop, 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 boop. And that's gonna help you focus on that big time stiff arm. Now, one way to make this even more athletic in the elbows and through the entire shoulder girdle is to do explosive push-ups to the boxes. I like using boxes as a target because typically we'll see with a lot of athletes, they'll do these little penguin clap push-ups where they just go like this. And they're barely driving up. Whereas that intent makes it a lot harder. So we're gonna drive through the entire range of motion at high speed. I'm already getting a pump.
That's what she said.
One thing that we can also do, if we want to focus more on stability, is try and catch this with one hand. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, and I actually like to think about pulling here explosively while we stick this here. And one thing that all athletes need is speed. When it comes to horizontal locomotion, think about accelerating as fast as possible, running very, very fast. The first aspect is, if we're looking at acceleration, we have to focus on the anterior sequence. That's gonna be our quads. That's gonna be driving with a massive amount of force into the ground. And then we also have to factor in our posterior chain. Think about our glutes, think about our hamstrings, and how we're gonna hip extend to project ourselves forward. Now, when we're looking at the quads, we've got to realize that there's a unique balance in sports performance. We've got to train the quads to make sure that we're able to have early acceleration, and then on top of that, have unique ability to decelerate very quickly. Think about the quads and how they play this massive role in helping to extend the knee when you're coming out of the blocks or when you're trying to increase the rate of your body at high speeds. How can we train the quads effectively and also train our glutes and our hamstrings? The glutes and hamstrings will play a big role in early acceleration, but even a bigger role when we're trying to work through max velocity. We have to analyze that if we're running at high speeds and we have more muscle, now we have this interplay between our hamstrings, between our glutes, even between our calves, and then also when we're trying to cut, get out of cuts, that's gonna factor in our quads. So we've gotta balance that anterior sequence with that posterior chain. And freaks, in order to build strength and power as an athlete, you need to fuel your body properly. It can be hard to get your daily recommended amount of vitamins, which is why we partnered with today's video sponsor, North American Herb & Spice, to bring you the first official Garage Strength bundle. You've heard us talk about liver and its positive effects on recovery. Not only do you get purely liver, but also their polar power and their sweet magnesium complex, purely min, all included in this special bundle. And one of the biggest attributes that I really like about Purely Min is the fact that they have L-threonate and magnesium glycinate. L-threonate is arguably the best form of magnesium, and it's really gonna help with that cognition and your overall sleep. And Polar Power is also gonna be effective at increasing your vitamin D levels. So click the link down below so that you can get 15% off your entire order from North American Herb & Spice. Now, what is the most important muscle that athletes actually need to train? Now I want you to envision a wrestler driving forward, hitting a big double leg takedown, or a linebacker driving through, depleting a running back or a quarterback or a wide receiver. What you just envisioned was rapid rates of hip extension. And the glutes and the hammies play a huge role in that hip extension and how you're gonna apply force into an opposing object or the ground. One of the most straightforward and proven ways to improve that hip extension is to just train that high bar, full range of motion back squat. Now, another way that we can train that shelf booty for that athletic physique is to do something like a single leg squat. So we wanna get that position, front foot forward. 1, 2, 3. Target the glutes, target the hamstrings. And that's gonna help strengthen the glutes and ultimately lead to better hip extension. Now, another way that you can train rapid hip extension in a really, really novel way, if you have access to a glute ham, typically available at most big time gyms, is to do sprinter glute ham. And I'm gonna throw in a little bit of a drop here. So I'm gonna go here. Notice I only have one leg, my left leg, hooked in, and it's gonna hold that knee flexion. But I'm gonna get up to the top with hip extension. I'm gonna go here, boom, 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 boom. That's gonna help really improve that rapid rate of coordination. We need rapid elbow extension. We need rapid hip extension. And ultimately, we need a lot of speed. But I can hear people already saying, Dane, why aren't you talking about the lats with shoulder stability? And you know what? You're right. If we think about pulling. Earlier in the video, I talked about how every single sport outside of sprinting at high speed is going to involve some type of pushing or pulling with an opponent. And that's why it's important that we train specific muscles that will involve pushing and pulling. And that's gonna help us lead to greater stability and ultimately greater performance in specific sports. And that's gonna take us into the next exercise that uses this concept where we're actually training the lats. And we refer to this as Donkey Kong climbs. So one of the cool parts around doing Donkey Kongs is that you have to coordinate with that dynamic trunk and work that grip the whole way up. Now, it's also pretty dangerous, so just be careful if you're doing something like that. Now, the other big factor that I like with rope climbs, you can usually use a fatter rope, and we've got a 2-inch rope here, which most of you guys are probably used to. When you have that fatter rope, it's going to be better for sports performance. You can ascend the rope like so. Baya, 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 wow. I got dry skin. That was a terrible climb, and I'm embarrassed by how bad that was. Another way that you can train that shoulder stability is with a more common exercise, like a dumbbell external rotation. And typically I like to recommend going through that slow eccentric and move that up as fast as possible. You can do this like 3 sets of 7, 4 sets of 7 on each side, but focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, then rotate back up. But what if we want the least amount of exercises to train our muscles as an athlete? What if we only have one exercise to choose to help us be that freak? It boils down to one absolute strength movement for your legs, and one absolute strength movement for your upper body, and one explosive movement to rule them all. One of the big factors around our strength training app, and this is something that thousands of athletes use to enhance their athletic physique. We have over 700 different strength-based exercises to help you guys cultivate your power and become a freak. And when you head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, you're gonna get something very unique. This is gonna be in your pocket to help you improve your speed, to help you improve that impulse expression, just like this next exercise. And this next exercise is going to be the snatch. Boo, boo! Okay, we wanna think about how can we apply a massive amount of force in a short period of time. And on top of that, it's gonna be a full body movement. We're gonna pull from the ground, we're gonna have rapid rates of hip extension, and then turn over and punch with those shoulders. Do I have rapid hip extension? Okay, so I'm gonna go here, boom, that's rapid hip extension. Am I gonna have an explosive pull? Yes. Am I gonna have rapid elbow extension? Yes, in my case, not on my right elbow, but for sure on my left elbow. Am I gonna have that shoulder stability? Oh, I'm so tight. Yes. It does absolutely everything. If I was on a deserted island and I only had to pick one exercise, maybe two, I would snatch, I would bench every single day that I could possibly do that. Maybe I'll bench only 3 days a week. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.